Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Upload, Season 3, Episode 7. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So it's Upload Day. Obviously, Nathan is, putting himself together a little place, because it's like, right, he can't go back to Lakeview without there being issues, because obviously there's another him already there, so that complicates things. So he made his own little space that he's been modifying, and it's hard to do a lot of it by himself, but they're just going to keep him there until, because it's going to be a little spot where, like, Nora can come and visit him while he's re-downloaded again, when he's re-uploaded, and I guess, I don't know if that's necessarily a situation of, well, because I was like, there's the whole, if they wanted to re-download him again, it'd be a whole thing, because you'd have to go through the whole process of growing him another body and stuff like that, but I guess it's better this way than, hey, you stay in your body, you die, and all that this Nathan's going through and all that Nora has gone through with this particular version of Nathan will end up kind of all disappearing, so, and they're trying to enjoy their last, at first, like, 20 minutes together, but then it's like, well, why don't we push it? Just give me one more day. Like, is one more day really going to be that much of a concern? And obviously, Nora doesn't want to say goodbye to, having Nathan in the flesh and stuff like that, too. So, but their day kind of gets eaten up by the fact is that Holden calls her in because there are issues, which it's so interesting because I was just talking about this when it came to Bosch Legacy, about that good old lawyer phrase, fruit of the poisonous tree. I talked about it at the time too, like, yeah, depending on the circumstance and the context, it can be a great thing law-wise, or it could be a crappy thing law-wise, of just like, yeah, all this evidence doesn't apply and work anymore. Thought that was kind of an interesting, of course it was going to be an uphill battle regardless with all of this, but none of it's admissible because Choke is he belongs to Horizon because of him being an upload, and the same thing for Nathan, which is kind of sad, especially when he breaks it down. He's like, cool, my thoughts belong to Horizon, my body belongs to Ingrid, but my heart will always belong to you. It's like, well, if you want to get technical about it, like, obviously it's a sweet thing, but then I'm surprised they didn't joke about it, because it's like, why ruin a good moment? But it's like, the dark part of it is like, yeah, that's sweet, honey, but yes, your heart does belong to Ingrid as well, on a technical property level. It's like, yeah, that's kind of sad. I think that's so interesting, that little thread of information of, like, you can call back to, just introducing that as kind of a throwaway thing of, like, oh, my body belongs to Ingrid, and kind of bringing it back in this context too. But either way, Nathan doesn't really get to have the fun day with Nora that he wants to, because she kind of keeps getting called in by Holden about stuff, but Holden's also setting Nora up so, like, hey, she could go to law school, and wants her to meet with the partners, which, Nathan's happy for, because it's like, right, I don't want to be the thing that kind of gets in the way of your life. Like, we will always have us, and even if it's like my last day, it doesn't matter, it doesn't change what's between us, and I want you to live your life. I don't want to be the thing that gets in your way of your dreams, knowing how important this is, how much you wanted to be a lawyer. So I think that's really sweet. And I also love her hooking him up with the Blue Man dude, who is not affiliated with the Blue Man group. Who I also looked into it. That actor is, I was surprised, he's like 6'9", because apparently he's the actor who's currently playing the Predator in the movies. I think from what I was seeing, I think the Predator might have been his first movie, but he was also the Predator in the movie Prey. I was like, interesting. There was even a photo of him and I guess that guy who played the Predator before him. I was like, oh, that's actually really dope. But anyway, just thought that was kind of interesting. But what I think is so interesting about that development of that story is that we find out the super secret witness. I figured that I thought it was going to be like a major trap of, like, someone was going to show up. Like, if anything, I thought it was going to be Karina. I thought it was going to be her, for whatever reason, that she was going to try and sabotage all of this. Like, that's what I thought was going to be the case. When it ended up being Dr. Kapoor, it's like, oh, that's interesting. It's like, wait, why is he here? It's like, it turns out he was paid to sabotage the first download, because I forgot to talk about it last episode, but Karina wanted him taken off the board, so he probably knew about that, and so either he ran from home the moment Nathan and them showed up and he knew that they were coming after him, or maybe maybe he had escaped their grasp or whatever, because like Karina did say like make sure Dr. Kapoor is dead. Maybe he just knew like, okay, I got to go in hiding. I got to protect myself. I mean, how did they even like maybe he thought like, okay, I need to protect myself. So maybe he got in contact with like maybe some form of the authorities and ended up connecting him with like the firm like Holden works for and stuff like that. I don't know, but that's it. It turns out since he sabotaged the first download, now Nora and Nathan are thinking like, wait, maybe that's why he gave us the fake pills, because you don't actually need them. You're fine. You're just having normal nosebleeds. It's like, yes, that's a possibility, but there's also the strong possibility. Like, I'm still like, I'm not going to be too happy about it, because I'm like, either like there is still going to be something wrong with this body, or it is going to be a situation that Nathan's going to have to sacrifice himself. Like, maybe it's going to be like a Mateo situation, but maybe whereas Mateo couldn't get uploaded in time, maybe this Nathan can be. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah, before Dr. Kapoor could even do it, I love that the assassination robot was the robot that takes orders and it's moving so slow. And yeah, he gets the kablooey. Poor guy gets a piece of shrapnel stuck inside of himself. I think they take down the blue dude, the blue man dude, because they think he's No. I think it is just Blue Dude, not even Blue Man Dude. But either way, they took him down probably because they think he's responsible for this. It's like, damn, that sucks. So there goes, their case literally went up in flames, or with a metal piece of shrapnel right through it, because he was their like last witness, their super secret witness. And the fact is, they found out. I mean, we're dealing with like some very powerful people, so they have enough connections everywhere. I mean, we even had like a dirty cop, everything, set up last season, but ended up paying off at the very beginning of the season. So who knows what connections they have to kind of make something like that happen. So what happens now? Like, they have no more witnesses, and just because he lied about that, there still could be some truth. Like I said, like, now that he's dead, you probably will never find out the truth about what he might know about a downloaded body. I mean, because it is interesting. Once again, it's just all about that bottom line and protecting your business model, because it's like, cool, why would Lakeview have as many people if you can always re-download yourself into a younger body and just keep going, this universe's version of immortality. Very Altered Carbon-esque. Surprised that didn't immediately come to my mind with all of this stuff when I was watching season 2 and downloading the bodies. I'm like, I'm surprised I didn't immediately think of Altered Carbon. So it's going to be interesting to see where things kind of go on that front. We had the whole thing with Ivan this entire episode. He was talking to backup Nathan about like, oh yeah, the David Choke situation, but the AI guy overheard him. He's like, no, you'll keep that a secret, right? He's like, delete it from your files. It's like, well, I can't. It's kind of against my programming. But he's also like, yeah, I'll keep your secret. But for some reason, he's like, I get this weird feeling like I want to go ahead and tell someone. What's that all about? It's like, that's the problem. The AI guy is becoming too human now. So he's gotten a lot of those qualities of like, yeah. And I love that he goes around and he's whispering it to, he's like, oh, don't worry. Like, he's like, oh, you weren't supposed to go tell your other selves. He's like, right. It's a secret to, that I'm keeping. Why can't I go tell the other versions of me? And just Ivan's looking around at all the different versions, like giving him the thumbs up, being like, hey, it's okay. We'll keep your secret. So it's like, yeah, one AI guy knew it. Now all of them know it. It's like, cool. Even tries to like keep it from Alicia. Because even Alicia and Corinna are like completely unaware about the David Choke situation. They'll probably find out eventually, but for now they don't know. It's like, poor Ivan. It's like you put yourself in this quite the predicament. So let's see how long he can hold off the AI guy from spilling his secrets, because it's definitely going to get revealed at some point in time. And I get the feeling it won't even be the AI guy. I think it's going to be Ivan that's going to slip up and reveal his own secret. So we'll see. But speaking of Alicia, she's kind of talking to Luke, which we also find out that apparently he got catfished by a terrorist. He's like, yeah, but one time she was the leader of like a revolutionary army. She was so beautiful. Well, I mean, he obviously didn't match the pictures, obviously, but I think there's a part of me that'll always love him. And I was like, oh, he's like, I don't think it'll make much difference. I don't think it's really that important. But it's like, yeah, I think a part of me will always love him. And I was like, that's actually, it's fucked up, but actually kind of sweet. But Alicia, it has, she was concerned about it last episode after seeing kind of a more sketchy side of Corinna. It's like, well, you haven't even gotten to the tippity top of the sketch, you know? And it's also, she's the one that kind of put a lot of that to the side, being like, oh yeah, working her way up, the Horizon, corporate ladder. And it's kind of like, oh, you're kind of seeing like the shady side of things, like on the up and up. Like, once again, Alicia's in the dark about a lot of like what the up and up has been a part of. I mean, not really, because she knows some of the details that should have given her pause, but even then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my thing because I need the money and I work hard. I'm very good at what I do. So, but Luke, wants to suss her out a little bit to kind of decide, like, oh, I'm a good judge of character. That's what started the whole, like, oh, you actually got catfished by terrorists conversation. But Luke, Alicia, and Corinna, like, all hang out. And I love the whole thing of like, oh, it's so sweet. She was your angel. You were like her client, and now you're actually friends. It's like, well, yeah, me and Alicia have a special relationship. Can you say the same? You could look at Corinna, and it's like, you could tell she's very like possessive in the regards that you could tell she was kind of getting a little irked. And part of me wonders, is that why she did everything later on to Luke, just to spite him because of that comment? Or is it just a larger thing of like, I don't know. Because Luke showed off some of his hacks. I was like, it's probably not a good idea to tell her all these hacks. Because they did kind of, when you cut to the AI, I mean, the IT guys, they're like, yeah, someone put in a whole bunch of requests today. I was like, I didn't even piece it together until the end of the episode. But it's like, all those extra requests they got today were filling in all the hacks that Luke had. I was like, that is actually really shitty. But I'm like, is she doing that just to spite Luke? Or is that just because it's like, right, oh, like, I mean, they're a business, and it's like, right, we don't need anyone exploiting it. Yes, it might just be Luke, but eventually he might tell someone else, and other people could be exploiting these hacks that we don't know about either. So it's like, yeah, we're bleeding money, so kind of screwing him over. He doesn't even get the Lakeview view anymore because he was like he found a glitch that basically gave him premium Lakeview, even though he never used it to change his body, because he's like, yeah, that would be cheating. So, and it's so sad too, because I thought Corinna was really all about it when she was like, yeah, you're getting fat off like those like nerds work, ha ha ha. That's amazing. I was like, but like the more he went on, I was like, you shouldn't be telling her all this, and came back to bite him in the ass, which sucks so much because he was like like God, what's the phrase I'm looking for? I'm gonna kind of putting her on a pedestal towards Alicia, because Alicia had her concerns, but he's like, yeah, but you and me, we're kind of like survivors. Like, we do a little shady stuff. Sure, yeah, the sketchy stuff is sketchy, but we do a little sketch just to kind of get by in this world. So a little sketchy stuff here and there. It's like, well, they don't know how sketch Corinna's stuff is because she's tied in with the same people who are doing all the shady stuff that Nathan and Nora are fighting against, but also she's, connected with the cabal that had Nathan killed. Because that wasn't just David Choke or Ingrid's dad. As I would assume the entire group kind of signed off on that. I don't think that was something they just did on their own. But it's interesting because we haven't really gotten their perspective on everything, but they're aware enough to know about Nathan that Corinna's boss or whatever, it's kind of like, hey, you want to keep an eye on Nora because of, we don't know, like, she's around Nathan a lot, so what does she know? Oh, she went to Dr. Kapoor's house, what does she know? Oh, just a coincidence? Okay, don't worry about it then. So they have to all be in the know. That couldn't have just been something choking Ingrid's dad did on their own. Like, that other group had to probably, like, co-sign on that as well, so. And Corinna's probably been a part of those conversations, too, so. Well, because Corinna's like still that piece of the puzzle that Nora and Nathan don't know that she's a part of this. Because once again, Nora saw her last episode during Choke's memories, but doesn't remember her. But eventually, I think that memory will come back. And so Luke and Alicia don't know she's a part of it, even if they know more about the whole like evil cabal thing. Still don't know. Well, Alicia definitely doesn't know about the full evil cabal thing because her and Nora haven't really talked. The last time they interacted was like for a few minutes a couple episodes back when Nora was lying about why she was in San Francisco. So eventually those two are going to have to meet up and again and reconnect and build their friendship back up, and then eventually it's going to get revealed about the whole Karina of it all. So we'll see. Then we also had the Ingrid and backup Nathan, and I love the whole thing of like, right, so did anything happen between you and Norma? Like, were you doing anything? You know, you guys were alone for a long time. It's like, nothing happened. She's like, well, me and Nathan almost kissed, but nothing happened. It's like, oh, okay, well, since you're admitting that something happened between me and Nora, almost, but no, nothing happened because I love you. And she's like, I knew it, you prick. And it's like, what? You just admitted the same thing. But she's like, yeah, but it's different. You're like, you were trying to make moves with a different person. At least I was trying to make moves with another version of you. It's like, you're splitting hairs at this point in time, but it's like, there are hairs that can be split in this situation, because it's like, at least was about to cheat on you with you. You were about to cheat on me with a completely different person. So it's like, you know, once again, the splitting hairs of it all. So I love that she decides that she's going to like, I didn't know what her initial plan is, like putting herself in Nora's avatar. I didn't know if the original plan was like, right, you're going to seduce him as Nora and then you confirm all your beliefs about him. But he's like, whoa, we're supposed to be friends. I'm fine with that. And plus I love Ingrid, you know? Which Tinsley's like, oh, see, he loves you. She's like, yeah, but he still said there's a spark between them. So she stuck being Nora the entire day. And I even love that, obviously, like, Nathan immediately picked up on it when she was like, babe, and he was like, nah, that's not what Nora calls me. Interesting. Uh-huh. And he slipped it in, like, once or twice and being like, Norma, and she didn't even catch it, because it's like, you know, and cause that's Ingrid's issue for not learning Nora's name. Well, as we established last episode, she does know Nora's name, but she only knows it when she's drunk. It's like, oh yeah, Ingrid hates when I take off my shoes and when I'm not wearing my shoes or socks at all times. It's like, oh, I don't know why that would bother her. And now she has to kick it with the IT guys, and she's not very good at her job, and they're being extremely sexist to the point they're like, oh yeah, like this woman would have, oh, she's dead weight. Fact of the matter is, I would have felt bad for anyone that had to be stuck with her. You know, women, they don't use their brains, they shrink. I was like, Jesus, guys, like that's like she's like, dude, like the most overt sexism possible. It's like, could you be in the douchier? And she's like, oh, cool. So if I ever hear you talk like that again, I will fuck your dad or your mom. I will go out there and I will make them fall for me and leave their partner and then dump them and leave you to pick up the pieces. And you're asking like, well, how can she do that? Look at me. I am hot. I will get my fucking heels on. I was like, yeah, look at Ingrid going to town. Because for her, she also gained more respect for Nora too, because it's like, oh, like, I mean, we've never had to see Nora deal with that side of things. But Ingrid kind of, you know, like ended up sticking up for Nora. I even love later on that IT guy's like, oh, I like what you did back there, which it's the IT guy that said that was the other IT guy that she was ripping into. I thought for a second, like, oh, something's going to happen between her and that other IT guy. But I'm like, I don't think Ingrid's, even in her circumstances, would ever kind of go with an IT guy. She says, and I even love, she has that line of, not even for Nora. Not even just, even though I have my issues with Nora, even I wouldn't stoop this low. Specifically, I think it's like, not even an IT guy of it all. It's more so like, you sexist pricks. Because it's like, right, you're saying that in front of Nora, but she's normally really good at her job, so everyone else in that crew would probably not say, I mean, but there's people who probably think that stuff, and the fact is they had the audacity just to say it to her face, not thinking much of it. It's kind of wild. I mean, yes, it's meant to be extreme because it's being said out loud, but you know, let's not mince words and pretend like there aren't at least some group of people. You know, not saying it's like every guy, but it's like, oh, there's a small group of guys that will literally think something like that. But either way, I love that Nathan's like, oh, so did you do anything today, Ingrid? She's like, no. And it's like, oh. He's like, yeah, I hung out with Nora today. And she's like, oh, thanks for telling me. He's like, so you got anything else? And she's like, no, I don't have any. He's like, thank harder, Ingrid. She's like, babe, no, I love you. And I love that. And she kind of cuddles up next to him. Because she was even saying, like, he was like, oh, yeah, Nora's kind of off today. And she's like, yeah, you might want to get, you know, give her a break. She kind of has it a little tougher than either one of us. You really don't know what someone's going through. Like I said, she got a different appreciation. She literally got to walk a mile in Nora's shoes a little bit. And like I said, who knows if she has to deal with that on a daily basis? She probably does, and maybe she just kind of lets it roll. Not making a big deal out of it, try not to make, not worrying about it too much, or just, like I said, that's those type of conversations typically might happen behind her back. And once again, she's very good at her job, so no one can really say anything. They probably do, but they kind of have no right to say anything. Even if she wasn't good at her job, still wouldn't give them the right to say that, but you get what I'm trying to say. So Nathan doesn't lord it over her, just kind of like lets it go and just kind of smiles and snuggles up to her, which is, it's like, all right, let it go. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go on that front. It's going to be interesting to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode, which is the season finale. So I'm excited to see how the season comes to an end. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.